Hey, what's good, everybody? It's Lance again, and today I'm coming at you with another Atlanta episode review. This is the FUBU episode. Yes, the FUBU episode. Right now, we are taken back to Ern's childhood and Al's childhood. We see a little bit of Al as a child. They seem to be both freshmen or 8th graders, 9th graders in like this school. I guess you can say that goes from like 9th or 8th, 7th through from middle school to high school or whatever. So basically, right, we get a little bit of how Ern was in high school, especially how Al was in high school as well. As far as I know, and as far as I could tell from watching the episode myself, this is the only episode out of the whole series that's actually shot on actual film. I believe they shot this on 16mm film. At least that's how it looked to me as a filmmaker myself. Like, it kind of looked like it was shot on 16mm. It almost looked, you know, like if you ever seen The Walking Dead, you ever seen like a film that has been shot on 16mm, there's been tons of films over the years, then you understand what I'm trying to say. But obviously they always used to raise the ISO for all the other episodes because that's kind of like their style and what they like to do for the show in general and overall aesthetic. However, I believe that they shot this film in full 16mm, which I think created an effect of it being like this almost flashback sequence to childhood. Obviously, Ern is a grown man on the show, and so is Al, so we go back to their childhood. And today, it kind of tackled materialism. Materialism amongst, like, the black community, especially in the 90s. Or now, to be honest with you, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of this episode that hit home for me because growing up, you know, in high school, you know, in the Bronx, I've experienced and I've witnessed so many, I don't know, belittlings of people just because they wear certain name brands and they probably wear knockoffs or not knockoffs, and people assume that you don't have money. They think that you are just broke, poor off, your parents are bums, yada yada yada, this and that. They feel that you're not up to par, and that's a big flaw, a very big flaw, especially when you're growing up, because you can get bullied for that. People take it some type of way, you know. It's just so stupid. But anyway, Ern is faced with a dilemma after he buys a fake FUBU outfit or a fake FUBU shirt from Marshall's, and he goes in the same day that this other kid named Devin wears the same exact shirt. However, his has a tag on it and it has more stuff on it, and then Ern's is kind of a little bit more plain. So the dilemma is that these bullies in the class are trying to figure out who has the fake shirt, and it's the ongoing situation throughout the whole entire class, or throughout the whole entire day. And what happens is that obviously we learn that Ern is actually the one wearing the fake shirt. You know, he tries to hide it the whole day. He has these two bullies from, like, seniors, actually, two bullies from the 12th grade picking on him just because he may or may not have a fake shirt on. They're picking on Devin just because he may or may not have a fake shirt on. And ultimately what happens is that Ern leans on Alfred to try to help him out and try to get him out of this situation. Alfred succeeds in doing so. However, he also puts down Devin's shirt, which automatically, for the 12th grade bullies, paints Devin as a trigger. You know, he's a target, and he basically is bullied throughout the rest of the episode. Ern sees this and kind of obviously resonates with that because he doesn't want to be bullied himself, and that's the only reason why he was panicking in the first place, is because he didn't want to be made a fool out of himself. Nobody wants to get with somebody who's quote-unquote broke or just can't afford the nice luxurious things that, you know, people see, I guess you could say, or whatever. It's just so materialistic stuff. It doesn't even make any sense. And anyway, the next day, unfortunately, it is announced that Devin had killed himself. And yeah, it's kind of like it's a very relatable episode, but also it's one that, you know, I think it's very important because it's just very informative, because I related to it a lot, because I mean, going from middle school to high school, I saw that sudden change of how people kind of look at you, the perception of you based on what brand you wear. Say, for me in high school, if you wore a USPA or something, or a polo shirt that wasn't Ralph, right, you were considered to be low. You know, you weren't considered to be as high as people actually wearing real Ralph Lauren. If you weren't wearing foam posits, you weren't as fly as the guy wearing phone posits with 3 or 4 pairs of $350 shoes. You weren't as good looking or as attractive to the eye if you didn't have a certain amount. It doesn't even matter. They could have looked like bummy sneakers. You could have looked dirty and you still had those phone posits on. You still had those shirts on. You still had those name brands on. You still were considered fly. You still were considered fresh. And that's one of those things where I feel like this show really, or this episode in particular, really tried to emphasize on. And Donald Glover did a great job. He wrote and directed this episode, and it showed. He picked the perfect person to play him as a younger man. His mannerisms, the kid's mannerisms, and his acting ability in order to pull off a perfect Donald Glover impression, in my opinion, for a little kid. He did a great job. I think everybody was really good. Obviously, the cinematography was really good. The film grain was there, and I enjoyed it because it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it takes place in the past, so I think implementing that 16mm look to the film or to the aesthetic of Atlanta really plays a lot to its, you know, positive. I think it's a really good technique that they used here. Overall, I really liked this episode, to be honest with you. And I thought it had a really decent message, and it's a shame that, you know, that stuff like that happened and continues to do happen, you know. I mean, I hope that society, and especially the community, could grow from it and understand that this is something that shouldn't be accepted, because obviously there's repercussions, you know. Bullying is not good. It's not good. And just because somebody doesn't have a proper name brand or has a knockoff shirt doesn't mean you have to make fun of him. I think it's just really stupid and ignorant, and I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a grown man right now, and the amount of people that I see wearing knockoffs from like thrift stores increased dramatically throughout the last, like, I guess you could say 5 years of my existence. People can look good with not name brand shirts or name brand pants, name brand outfits. It doesn't even matter. You know, what's this idea of like this spending money? And I understand, like, it comes with the culture. You understand, like, you want to look good. You are a black man in America. Just like Ern's mother says to him, you are a black man in America. You got to wear a suit, and you are going to wear a suit. And I understand that completely. It's just, you know, it's all fucked up, you know? It's a really fucked up way of thinking if you think about it real hard. But anyway, I know everybody wants to look good, though. You know what I mean? And you can look good, but I just think that you can do that without having to break your dollar or just being, you know, this fly-as-hell person with all these name brands. I mean, to be honest with you, like, don't break your bank on clothes. If you can afford it, that's great too. But if you don't be ashamed just because you wore another name brand or just because you know, decided to go for the stuff that was on sale. Anyway, that's it for today's review of Atlanta FUBU episode. I really liked it. I thought it was very different, and I liked the way they handled it. I know I wasn't able to review last week's episode, but I really liked that episode too. And it was really wacko, and it was kind of crazy. You know, Ern is going on like this kind of downfall, and I want to know what's happening now. I want to know what's his relationship with Payboy is going to look like in the future, if he's still going to be his manager or not. Who knows? And he got his ass kicked by Tracy, which was kind of crazy. But anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys later. New video obviously next week, and I may or may not do another movie review. We'll see what happens in the next couple days. What happens, what I see, and what happens, basically. I don't know. Anyway, you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.